Hi, Miss Teresa.
Hi, Alicia.
Of course, you know me. I'm Alicia. So I'm gonna ask you about 10 questions, and then you just give me your best response. And so, my first question is, how long have you been working in the childcare field?
Well, I've been working here since 2010, but I have been in the childcare field since 2000.
Okay. So, my next question to go along with that, where were you raised, and do you have any children of your own?
Well, I was born and raised in Newton Grove, North Carolina, and I moved to Greensboro after college. I just recently, 3 years ago, relocated to Durham. I have three children on my own. My oldest is a girl,
Mm-hmm.
and I have two boys under her. My youngest is getting ready to go off to the Navy in
Oh,
May. He actually leaves me on May 5th, and my birthday is the 13th.
wow. Okay. So, my third question. Share an effective method that you have used to communicate with children's parents.
For that one, I'm going to use a method that we use here at Childcare Network,
Mm-hmm.
and it's called CNI Cares.
Okay.
CNI Cares that we use here at Childcare Network takes place of the old days when we used daily reports that we would send home paper copies.
Mm-hmm.
With CNI Care, it's an electronic part where we fill out on the tablet every day of what your child does,
Mm-hmm.
the attendance, nap time, meals, if they need anything, such as like blankets or change of clothes. It also breaks down their temperament of how they have been.
Okay.
So that is one method. And for our parents that do not use email or electronic devices, we also communicate daily
Mm-hmm.
with the parents as they drop their kids off and when they pick them up. So, say for example, if their child has had a fabulous day,
Mm-hmm.
that is one thing that we would tell them at the end of the day. Or if their child has misbehaved
Mm-hmm.
or needs help on something, that is another way that we communicate as language, especially for our ESL parents. We do more of talking communication instead of electronic because with our tablets we haven't got them yet to be able to interpret what we put into another language. We're working on it, but we
Mm-hmm.
haven't got there yet. So that's one method that I would say has been very effective since we started using it 2 years ago.
Okay. So on a daily, these parents will be able to see how their kids are doing throughout the day in the classroom through this
Yeah, so on
program.
the tablet it breaks down their physical, their cognitive,
Mm-hmm.
emotional, social development. It breaks down all that, and we have to input, each stage of what they've done. It breaks down outside time, their temperament. It also breaks down a new thing that we have just started using. It's called Flip It,
Mm-hmm.
which means if a child has had a problem, we use this method. It's called Flip It in order to get the child back into the correct stage that they need to be in.
Okay. That's very helpful. Um, So my fourth question would be, what do you do in the classroom that meets the developmental needs of students?
So in our classroom, I create lesson plans around our children's
Mm-hmm.
interests. So within the lesson plan, I list individual goals for each student that needs to be worked on daily or weekly.
Okay.
And these goals focus on the student's physical, cognitive, emotional, and social development, such as fine motor skills, gross motor skills, also. And then I also add additional material that relates to my lesson
Mm-hmm.
to assist in these skills. For example, if we're talking about flowers, I might add in the dramatic play, some fake artificial flowers,
Mhm.
a flower price list, a pad so they can take orders, from other students going into the center. Say if they want two roses, and they can put it on
Excuse
the
me.
little writing pad and stuff. So we add stuff into each center to help with all of their developmental needs.
Okay, you do this on a weekly basis or like a daily basis?
We do our lessons weekly and we add stuff weekly into it.
Mhm.
We do have this one center, it's called the Super Center,
Okay.
where it's monthly. So, for an example, when we were talking about Black History Month,
Mhm.
we set up a super center as a hair salon. So we put
Oh.
like combs and rollers and
Mhm.
mannequins and stuff for the children, to explore. And that stayed in for the whole month of February. So
Okay.
it all depends on, what our lesson is about and stuff like that of what we build our super center for monthly.
Mhm. That sounds fun.
They really enjoy
I wish I was a kid.
it.
Okay, so my next question would be what happens if the guidelines are not effective?
So if the guidelines are not effective, um, I take my time with each and every student of what
Mhm.
they need to work on or what they can do better to meet the needs of those students that are struggling and what they're struggling with. So we set goals for our students, and to make sure that they meet the goals, we work on certain stuff that they need worked on. It's a process. In order to work on it. So it's a continuously daily work that you have to work with students. An example could be writing your name.
Mhm.
Well, maybe they can write their name, but what if they need help with the alphabet or letter recognition?
Mhm.
What if they don't know the letters in their name, but they know how to write it?
Right.
So that would be an example. We would start on getting them to identify those letters within their names.
Okay.
Um, for an example, Sam. He might know how to spell Sam,
Mhm.
but he might not know what the M is. He might say SEW. So we would work on its SAM. So we would do one letter, at a time until he got the M under control, and then we would move on to the next letter he needs help with.
Okay. So as far as like helping them throughout that process, do you tell the parents when these things go on or do you like just work on it yourselves in the classroom?
We do both. A lot of our parents are wonderful parents, and they work with their children, nightly. And especially on Friday, I would let them know, what their child needs to work on. So
Mhm.
maybe on the weekend, practice writing your name or practice a certain letter that I notice they need, or number, or shape, or
Mhm.
color. So it depends, but definitely on Friday we give a verbal report
Mhm.
as far as the CNI care report. We also do a verbal report, so that would give them something to work on for the weekend.
Okay. So my next question would be how do you determine if the actions taken meets the needs of the students?
One way that we would determine if the actions are meeting their needs, we do observations of our students throughout the whole day. Me and my co-teacher,
Mhm.
we're constantly walking around, to each center and making sure what the students are doing to determine a plan and action. Um, some of our students might need more help on fine motor skills, so we would use, the writing center, or gross motor skills. Say if we're walking around and we see that they're having a problem putting together a puzzle,
Mhm.
that might be a need that they need help. They need more improvement on how to organize a puzzle or how to write their name, if they're not holding the pencil right. So that would be actions that we would take in place.
Okay. So my next question, sorry. How how do you follow guidelines in your classroom?
One way we follow guidelines in the classroom um, is is by making sure our standards are met.
Hmm.
So standards are necessary for building the understanding requirements of a child's social living. Um, just like rules, guidelines set those standards.
Hmm.
So you have to make sure that your guidelines are accomplishing understandings in positive ways for our children, because using guidelines as adults and as educators, we're teaching this generation, we're teaching these
Hmm.
children how to be more productive, how to
Correct.
be positive. Excuse me.
Okay.
So, you know, being positive and instructive. So our guidelines are following more of a developmental appropriate for our encouraging classroom. As you can see, since you've been in here this 10 weeks,
Hmm.
our classroom, everybody says it's a welcoming environment. Our
Yeah.
children have to be welcomed,
Hmm.
they want to feel that they can come in here. We don't want to, have the children where they're scared to come in the classroom. That's not something that we want to do. So we make sure that it follows, the children's developmental appropriate practice.
Okay. So with my next question, this is more about you. What made you pick childcare as your field of study?
Picking childcare as my field of study was it was a long process.
Hmm.
Um, I started out after high school and I went into nursing. I thought nursing was what I wanted to do, but for something, I ended up coming into education because I love children. I love babies. I just had that caring, loving passion for children. And I started out as an infant toddler teacher before I came into pre-K. I've been in pre-K 9 years now, but I started out in my career as an educator in the infant toddler, and that right there, that's
Hmm.
the learning environment. We have to teach this generation.
Hmm.
So me picking childcare as my field of study, it was a process, but it's because I have a loving and caring heart.
Okay. And so since you've made that choice, do you like it? Like how would you rate your
Oh, I love it. I wouldn't change it. That's one reason why I went ahead and finished and got my BK license, and I'm going back to school to do my master's in
okay.
education. Because children, I mean, like I said, I got three of my own, so if
Right.
I can raise my own, why not raise these 18 here and show them what this generation needs?
Correct. I understand that one. Um, so my next question would be more of a general question. So like for anyone, what advice would you give someone that wants more experience in childcare? So someone like me.
The advice that I would give someone that needs more experience, just like I've been helping you these past 10 weeks,
Hmm.
um, what you did is a great way to know what you want to do. I would say volunteering
Hmm.
somewhere in a child care or in like a church daycare or after school program, something like that. I would volunteer somewhere to make sure that's the career you want, because you have to have the patience.
Yeah.
You have to love children. You have to have patience for children. So if you don't have them to, being in childcare is
Mhm.
not going to fit what you want to do, because those two things you have to have. You have to have the love for the child,
Mhm.
because some of our children might not get the love that we're going to show them. They might not be getting it at home.
Mhm.
They might not be getting the care that we show them here at
Correct.
home. We don't know a lot about how their home life is and what they do. So we're kind of like, as I would say, we're their parents for the 6.5 hours they're here.
Right.
So we're their teachers, their educators, and someone that they can, look up for. Um, and you have to make sure that that's what you want to do. Like I said, I didn't start out as education.
Mhm.
I started out as a nurse, because I thought nursing was what I wanted to do
Mhm.
because I love the old folks.
Yeah.
But the children, it just, once I had my first two, I was like, no, let me change my career.
Right.
And I changed it to education.
Yeah, that sounds like me. I started off with nursing when I first started high school, and then I had a talk with my mom, and I did a lot of volunteer work, and I was just like, I think I want to change my major to early child education. So
And it's a good career. I mean, it's not it's not about the money. It's
it's not.
about what you want. It's your
Hmm.
patience, your care, your love, your heart.
Right.
If your heart has got it, education and childcare is the way to go.
Okay. So for my last question, um, do you allow collaboration between students, and how do children handle disputes among each other?
In our class, we do allow collaboration,
Mm.
with our children, with our students and stuff. We, encourage them to freely choose who they want to play with, who do they want to interact with during center time, or, throughout the day. Um, who do they want to sit with at the table.
Hmm.
We don't do assigned seats, for their meals and stuff. We let them sit wherever they want to.
Right.
Most of them sit in the same exact spot, but that's their choice.
Hmm.
So collaboration, the students need to be able to make their own choices,
Right.
because that's a part of their life.
Hmm.
That's a part of social and emotional skills, is knowing who you want to socialize with. And so, how do they handle disputes amongst each other? We have, as you know, since you've been here with us, over here in our safe place, we have this corner. It's called the Talk It Out corner.
Hmm.
And a lot of our children, if they are having a disagreement or something with another child, we'll send them to the Talk It Out corner together and say, why don't y'all try to talk it out before we interfere or before we have to step in? And most of the time it works, and they're able to work out the problem that was caused.
Hmm.
Say, for example, if, oh, Billy over here didn't want to share with Sam, well, how can we fix that? And so we'll send them over to the corner. Y'all go and talk about how y'all can fix y'all's dispute amongst each other. And they'll come up with, okay, I'm going to play with it. And once I'm done playing with it, I'm going to give it to Sam.
Hmm.
And then, Sam's going to play with it. And then he might give it back to Johnny or whoever. So we usually talk it out corner a lot, um, with our children, to do the disputes amongst each other. If we have to step in, then we would separate them and we would say, okay, Billy, why don't you go to this center for a little bit? And Johnny, why don't you go over here for a little bit
Hmm.
and, take some time out and play with another friend or another peer and see how that works out. So sometimes we do have to step in, but most of the time they're able to, work it out amongst each other and stuff. And a lot of our students, they don't play in the same group or with the same friends.
Hmm.
This year has been a little different with our students where everybody plays with everybody.
Hmm.
There has been years where we would have this certain three that don't want to play with nobody else but these three friends. And if one of these friends is absent,
Hmm.
they're not gonna play together. So it's a hustle though. But
Right.
yeah, so this year's been a little different where everybody plays with everybody and you don't never see the same children playing with each other.
Right.
So it's been interesting.
Okay. Well, that was my last question. I just want to say thank you for letting me volunteer for these two
Anytime.
weeks. I really enjoyed it. I love the kids. Um, and I would love to do it again.
Yes, and I can say that when today came,
Hmm.
everybody wants to know where Miss Alicia is. Miss Alicia is not here. When is she coming back? Is she sick? Is she okay? I'm like, Miss Alicia has finished her practicum with us, but we'll probably see her, later on. So don't be a stranger because our children love you now. This group will leave out in June and there'll be a whole new group in August. But you're welcome to our classroom anytime, Alicia. Anytime. These children love Miss Alicia.
I'll but definitely have to come visit and see my kids again.
Yes, it's been a great pleasure working with you. I've really enjoyed it, and you'll be a great teacher.
Well, thank you. I really enjoyed coming, and thanks so much for having me.
And if you need me, you've got my phone number, you got my email, you know where I'm at. If
Hmm.
you just need somebody to give you more advice of whatever, or if you need to learn something new, I'm here to talk to you.
Thank you. I really enjoyed it.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for having me here.
You're mighty welcome.